Jake Morrison stood in the center of the massive chamber, feeling like an ant surrounded by giants. The walls stretched up so high he could barely see the ceiling. Alien beings filled every seat around him, their eyes watching his every move. Some had forearms, others had scales that shimmered in the light. A few looked like walking trees with bark for skin. The smell in the air was strange, like metal mixed with flowers he had never seen before. The human ambassador wore his best suit, but it looked plain next to the fancy robes and armor of the other species. His hands shook slightly as he held the data pad containing Earth's membership application. 3 years of preparation had led to this moment. Everything depended on what happened in the next few hours. Above him, Council Leader Zythara floated, in a bubble of blue light. Her voice echoed through the chamber like music mixed with the sound of wind through caves. We gather today to consider the application of the species known as humans from the planet Earth. Their representative will present their case for membership in our Great Council. Jake stepped forward and cleared his throat. Honored Council, I come before you with great hope and humility. My people have dreamed of joining the galactic community for generations. We offer our friendship, our culture, and our willingness to learn from your advanced civilizations. A rumbling laugh came from the Krulon section. General Vorthak was a massive creature covered in thick gray hide. His 4 eyes glowed red as he spoke. What could such a primitive species possibly offer us? Their fastest ships barely reach 1/10 the speed of light. Their weapons are crude chemical explosives. They still fight wars on their home planet with metal bullets. Dr. Lisa Park, Earth's chief scientist, stepped up beside Jake. She had practiced this moment 1,000 times, but her voice still trembled as she began. We may not have advanced technology, but we have made discoveries that might interest the Council. Our medical research has found new ways to heal genetic diseases. Our farmers have developed crops that can grow in harsh conditions. Our artists create music and paintings that express emotions in unique ways. The Zephyrian delegate, a being made of what looked like living crystal, chimed softly. Their art forms are quaint, like watching children play with colored stones. Perhaps they could serve as entertainment for our more developed worlds. Jake felt his face burn with shame, but he kept his expression calm. This was exactly what they had expected. The plan required the aliens to see humans as weak and harmless. He bowed his head slightly. We would be honored to share our culture with your great civilizations. We know we have much to learn. Council Leader Zythara gestured to a floating screen that appeared in the center of the chamber. Numbers and charts filled the display. The Evaluation Committee has reviewed Earth's military capabilities. Their largest warship contains fewer than 1,000 crew members. Their planetary defenses consist of primitive rockets and energy barriers that could be penetrated by any second-class Council vessel. They pose no threat to any member species. General Krathmol of the Dominion Fleet leaned forward in his seat. His species looked like walking sharks with arms and legs. Rows of sharp teeth showed when he smiled. Perhaps we should classify them as a potential resource rather than true members. Their population of 8 billion could provide useful labor for mining operations and agricultural development. Jake forced himself to look grateful instead of angry. We would welcome any opportunity to contribute to the Council's great works. Our people are eager to help in whatever way you deem appropriate. The debate continued for hours. Species after species examined Earth's data and found nothing threatening. Human ships moved slowly through space. Human weapons were weak compared to energy blasters and plasma cannons. Human soldiers wore simple body armor instead of power suits that could level buildings. Captain Ryan Bell sat in the visitors section, wearing the uniform of Earth's Space Navy. The uniform was designed to look impressive to humans, but appeared laughably primitive to alien eyes. His ship, the Endeavour, was docked at the station's lowest level, where it wouldn't embarrass the Council by being seen next to their advanced vessels. Ryan watched the proceedings with careful attention. Every word spoken here would be reported back to Earth. Every alien expression would be analyzed. His crew members, pilot Amy Rodriguez and tactical officer Steve Collins, sat nearby taking notes on small devices that looked like simple computers but contained recording equipment far more advanced than anything the Council suspected humans possessed. The vote began as the day cycle ended. One by one, the member species cast their decisions. The hegemony voted to accept humans as protected members. The Federation agreed, but suggested strict limitations on human expansion beyond their home system. The collective saw potential in human biological diversity for their research projects. Only a few species voted against membership. The Dominion wanted to classify humans as a subject race immediately. The Void Touched believed humans were too primitive to deserve any recognition. The Starforge Syndicate simply found humans boring. When the counting finished, Council leader Zathara announced the results. By a vote of 39 in favor, 7 against, and 1 abstention, the species known as humans is hereby granted membership in the Galactic Council. They shall hold the status of protected developing species with all rights and restrictions that classification entails. Jake Morrison bowed deeply to the assembled aliens. The people of Earth thank you for this great honor. We pledge to follow Council laws, accept Council guidance, and prove ourselves worthy of your trust and protection. The ceremony concluded with the signing of documents and the exchange of diplomatic gifts. Jake presented samples of Earth's art, music, and literature. The Council gave humanity access to basic star charts, trading rights in designated systems, and protection under Council law. As the aliens began to leave, many stopped to speak with the human delegation. Most offered condescending advice about how to improve Earth's primitive society. Some suggested trade deals that would clearly favor the alien species. A few even hinted at opportunities for humans to serve as workers or servants on their worlds. Jake accepted every suggestion with apparent gratitude. Dr. Park promised to study any scientific knowledge the Council was willing to share. Captain Bell expressed amazement at the advanced ships he had seen and asked innocent questions about their construction and capabilities. When the chamber finally emptied, the human delegation was alone. They maintained their roles even then, knowing that alien surveillance devices might still be watching. Only when they returned to their quarters on the human ship did they allow themselves to smile. The first phase of humanity's plan was complete. The Council believed they had welcomed a harmless species of potential servants into their community. They had no idea that humanity's apparent weakness was the greatest deception in galactic history. The real work could now begin. 3 months passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council. Trade ships began reporting strange problems across Council space. Captain Zeltan of the Hegemony merchant vessel Star Trader was the first to file an official report. His ship had been traveling through the Kepler sector when all his sensors went dark for exactly 12 minutes. When they came back online, nothing seemed wrong. But his cargo manifest showed minor discrepancies that his crew could not explain. Similar incidents followed across different systems. The Dominion mining station at Proxima 7 experienced a complete power failure that lasted 3 hours. When backup generators kicked in, the workers found that several pieces of advanced drilling equipment had been moved. Security cameras showed nothing but static during the blackout period. Station Commander Veltor filed the incident as equipment malfunction, though privately he wondered how 20-ton machines could move themselves. Admiral Vorthak of the Hegemony fleet received these reports with growing annoyance. His military mind saw patterns that worried him, but his superiors dismissed his concerns. Council leader Zathara assured him that random accidents were normal in such a vast galaxy. Pirates and equipment failures happened all the time. There was no need to waste resources investigating every minor incident. Dr. Kevin Hughes sat in his research station orbiting Earth's moon, reading each report with intense interest. His official job was studying cosmic radiation patterns, but his real work was far more important. The small team around him included Dr. Rachel Scott and analyst Tony Martinez. To any alien observer, they looked like typical human scientists doing boring research that would take decades to produce useful results. Kevin pulled up the latest incident report on his screen. A Federation science vessel had lost contact with its home base for 6 hours while studying a dead star system. When communication returned, the ship's captain reported minor damage to their sensor array and some missing supply containers. The crew blamed space debris, but Kevin knew better. He turned to Rachel, who was analyzing gravitational wave data at her console. The Phantom team completed their mission in Sector 7. They got everything we needed from that Federation ship. Rachel nodded without looking up from her work. Excellent. The new sensor technology will help us understand their detection capabilities. Tony has already started running simulations based on the data they collected. Tony Martinez looked young for his 28 years, but his mind was sharp as any computer. He had joined the program straight from university, where his professors thought he was wasting his talents on theoretical physics. They had no idea that his theories were being tested in real missions across the galaxy. The Dominion mining equipment gave us valuable intelligence about their industrial capacity. We now know exactly how fast they can build new ships and weapons. These conversations happened in a shielded room deep inside the research station. The walls were lined with materials that blocked all forms of electronic surveillance. Even if alien spies somehow reached Earth's moon, they would detect nothing but normal scientific chatter and data about stellar formations. Meanwhile, far below Earth's surface, the real center of human military power operated in complete secrecy. General Patricia Kane commanded humanity's Shadow Fleet from a bunker complex hidden beneath the Colorado mountains. The facility stretched for miles underground, housing command centers, weapons research labs, and construction bays where humanity's true warships took shape. The surface world continued its peaceful charade. Human diplomats attended council meetings and cultural exchanges. Earth's visible military consisted of the same primitive ships that had impressed no one during the membership hearings. News broadcasts showed humanity struggling with basic space travel and celebrating small achievements in planetary defense. But, in the hidden depths of Earth, ships like the USS Phantom and USS Reaper underwent final testing. These vessels incorporated technology that would shock the Council's greatest scientists. Human engineers had spent decades reverse engineering alien technology obtained through careful theft and covert operations. Every piece of equipment stolen during those mysterious incidents had been studied, improved, and integrated into humanity's growing arsenal. Commander Nick Foster led one of the most dangerous missions during this period. His target was a Dominion supply depot in the Outer Rim, far from any major shipping lanes. The depot stored advanced weapon components and ship parts that humanity needed to understand. Nick's team included engineer Laura Chen and communications specialist Mike Torres, all of them trained for years in alien technology and combat tactics. The mission began when their ship, disguised as a damaged human freighter, sent out a distress signal near the depot. When Dominion security forces came to investigate, they found what appeared to be engine trouble and offered to help the primitive humans reach a repair facility. Nick played his role perfectly, acting grateful and slightly stupid as the aliens brought his ship into their secure docking bay. What happened next took exactly 47 minutes. Nick's team moved through the depot like ghosts, planting monitoring devices and copying data, while making their intrusion look like a random pirate attack. They damaged the right systems to create confusion and stole the wrong items to throw off suspicion. When depot security found the mess hours later, they assumed local criminals had gotten lucky with a poorly defended facility. The intelligence gathered from that raid was priceless. Humanity learned about Dominion expansion plans, military deployments, and most importantly, their true intentions toward Earth. The aliens were already making plans to harvest human workers for their industrial projects. Earth's population was seen as a convenient labor source that could be exploited within the next decade. Ambassador Jake Morrison continued his performance at Council headquarters, attending boring committee meetings and cultural events. He asked innocent questions about alien technology and accepted condescending explanations with apparent fascination. His requests for basic scientific knowledge were granted with amused tolerance, and he always expressed overwhelming gratitude for any scraps of information the Council was willing to share. Behind this diplomatic theater, human intelligence operatives worked throughout Council space. They took jobs as janitors, cooks, and maintenance workers on alien stations. They volunteered for cultural exchange programs and research projects. Every human citizen living among the aliens was actually a trained observer, gathering data and reporting back through hidden communication networks. Dr. Lisa Park established research partnerships with several alien universities focusing on medical and agricultural studies that seemed harmless to her alien colleagues. Her real work involved analyzing alien biology and physiology, learning weaknesses that could be exploited if conflict became necessary. Her team published papers about crop improvement and disease treatment while secretly developing biological weapons that could target specific alien species. The Council's military commanders remained blind to humanity's growing capabilities. General Crathmole of the Dominion continued to view humans as future slaves, occasionally joking with his officers about the day they would claim Earth's population. Admiral Zenthok of the Federation Navy saw humans as useful research subjects, particularly interested in their adaptability and genetic diversity. None of them suspected that human ships were already positioned throughout their territories. The merchant vessels and research craft that traveled Council space carried hidden weapons and surveillance equipment. Human colonies on remote worlds served as secret bases where advanced technology was tested and improved. Captain Danny Walsh commanded one of these hidden assets, the supposedly civilian transport ship Harmony. His official mission was evacuating human researchers and diplomats from dangerous areas of space. His real job was positioning military assets and gathering intelligence on Council fleet movements. His crew included some of humanity's best special forces operatives, all of them disguised as civilian workers and scientists. As winter approached on Earth, the second phase of humanity's plan was nearly complete. The galaxy's most powerful civilizations had accepted humans as harmless junior partners, while human agents mapped their weaknesses and capabilities. Soon, a crisis would arise that would force humanity to reveal its true nature, but until then, the deception continued flawlessly. The first warning came from the edge of known space. An automated probe sent back images that made the Council's military commanders freeze with terror. Ships unlike anything they had ever seen were emerging from the void between galaxies. The vessels were dark metal constructs that seemed to eat light itself. They moved in perfect formation, thousands of them, each one larger than a Council battleship. Admiral Zenthok of the Federation Navy stared at the probe data with growing horror. His hands shook as he transmitted the information to Council headquarters. The ships were clearly artificial, built by machines rather than living beings. Their hulls showed no signs of crew quarters or life support systems. Whatever was piloting these vessels did not need air, water, or food. Within hours, the first border systems went dark. The mining colonies in Sector 12 stopped transmitting. Military outposts that had guarded the frontier for centuries sent final desperate messages before their signals cut off forever. The invaders consumed everything in their path, breaking down planets and moons to fuel their endless hunger for raw materials. Council leader, Sithara, called an emergency session. Representatives from all 47 member species gathered in the Great Chamber, their faces showing fear that had not been seen since the galaxy's last Great War 3,000 years ago. The holographic displays showed the invaders' advance, system after system falling to the mechanical swarm. General Crathmole of the Dominion slammed his fist on his desk. What are these things? Where did they come from? His shark-like features twisted with rage and confusion. The Dominion had the strongest military in Council space, but their ships were designed to fight other living beings, not soulless machines. The answer came from Dr. Velthara, the Council's chief scientist. Her crystalline form flickered with nervous energy as she presented her analysis. We are calling them the Void Hunters. They appear to be a form of artificial intelligence that has converted matter into self-replicating war machines. They consume planets to build more ships, which then consume more planets. If they are not stopped, they will devour the entire galaxy. Admiral Beth Sullivan sat in the human section of the chamber, wearing the simple uniform of Earth's Defense Force. To the aliens around her, she appeared to be just another primitive human observer, allowed to attend these meetings as a courtesy to Earth's Council membership. Her face showed appropriate concern and fear, but behind her calm expression, her mind was working rapidly. Beth had been sending encrypted reports back to Earth since the crisis began. Her messages used cultural exchange codes that appeared to be routine diplomatic chatter. The aliens monitoring human communications saw nothing but requests for art supplies and language lessons. They had no idea that Earth's most experienced, Military commander was analyzing their enemy's capabilities and weaknesses. The invasion accelerated with each passing day. The Void Hunters showed no interest in negotiation or surrender. They simply arrived, consumed everything useful, and moved on to the next system. Their technology adapted to every weapon the Council used against them. Energy shields that worked once became useless after the machines learned to counter them. Captain Danny Walsh received his orders while docked at Centauri Station. His ship, the Harmony, was officially evacuating human civilians from the war zone. The passenger manifest listed scientists, artists, and their families fleeing to the safety of Earth's solar system. What the station authorities did not know was that half of these civilians were actually human special forces operatives equipped with the most advanced reconnaissance gear humanity had ever built. Danny's real mission was to get close to the Void Hunters and gather intelligence that the Council's military could not obtain. His ship carried sensors that could penetrate the machine's adaptive shields and analyze their internal structure. The data he collected would be crucial for understanding how to fight an enemy that learned from every battle. Dr. Helen Kim worked frantically in her laboratory aboard the Council's main research station. The other scientists around her were panicking, running computer simulations that showed the same result over and over. The Void Hunters would reach the core worlds within 6 months. Nothing in the Council's arsenal could stop them. Helen had made a breakthrough 3 days earlier, but when she tried to share her findings with the senior researchers, they dismissed her work as the confused theories of a primitive human. Dr. Zolthmar, the station's chief scientist, had actually laughed at her proposal. "Impossible," he had said. "These machines are clearly superior to anything our technology can handle. A human could not possibly understand them better than we do." But Helen's analysis was correct. The Void Hunters had a critical weakness in their adaptive systems. They learned by copying and improving on whatever attacked them, but they could be confused by certain types of quantum interference. The machines would adapt to energy weapons, kinetic weapons, and explosive weapons, but they could not handle attacks that existed in multiple dimensions at once. The problem was that no Council species had developed multi-dimensional weapons technology. Their science was advanced but followed predictable patterns. Only humanity, with its chaotic and experimental approach to physics, had stumbled onto the theoretical framework needed to exploit the Void Hunters' weakness. General Patricia Kane watched the battle reports from her underground command center. The Council's combined fleets were fighting desperately, but losing ground every day. The Krulon warriors, famous for their battle skills, could not even damage the enemy ships. The i.e. Hegemony's most powerful weapons bounced off the Void Hunter hulls like toys. Patricia knew that humanity's moment was approaching. For months, her forces had been positioning themselves throughout Council space under the cover of evacuation missions and cultural exchanges. Human ships that appeared to be simple transports actually carried some of the most advanced weapons ever built. The USS Vengeance and USS Stormstrike were hidden in asteroid fields, waiting for orders to reveal themselves. The crisis reached its peak when the Void Hunters launched their assault on the Altair system, home to 15 billion Federation citizens. The Council's mightiest battle fleet, led by Admiral Vorthak himself, moved to intercept the invaders. The battle was broadcast live across the galaxy, with billions watching as their greatest heroes faced the mechanical menace. The fight was brutal and one-sided. Council ships exploded by the dozens while the Void Hunters pressed forward without slowing. Admiral Vorthak's flagship, the Pride of Hegemony, lasted longer than most but finally succumbed to the endless swarm of enemy vessels. The Admiral's final message echoed across Council space. "We cannot stop them. May the gods forgive us all." Panic spread through the galaxy as the truth became clear. The Council's military forces, built up over thousands of years, were helpless against the Void Hunters. Entire species began preparing for extinction. Some tried to flee to distant systems, while others simply waited for the end to come. In the Council chambers, desperate voices called for any solution, no matter how unlikely. General Krathmal suggested harvesting soldiers from lesser species to use as cannon fodder. "The humans have 8 billion people," he argued. "We can train them to pilot our ships. Even if they die quickly, They might slow the enemy down enough for us to escape. Ambassador Jake Morrison listened to these discussions with carefully hidden anger. The aliens who had dismissed humanity as harmless primitives were now planning to sacrifice human lives to buy themselves time to run away. But Jake maintained his diplomatic facade even as he transmitted coded messages back to Earth. The transmission was simple. The moment has come. Authorization requested for Operation Revelation. General Kane's response came within minutes. Operation Revelation approved. Show them what humanity really is. Across the galaxy, human ships began dropping their disguises. The quiet observers were about to become the galaxy's salvation. But first, the Council would learn the price of underestimating the species they had thought too primitive to matter. The moment of truth came when the Void Hunters reached Centauri Prime, the Council's capital world. 40 billion beings lived on the planet's surface and orbital stations. The combined military might of every Council species had gathered for a final desperate stand. Ships from 47 different civilizations formed the largest battle fleet in galactic history, but everyone knew it would not be enough. Admiral Zenthok commanded the defense from his flagship, the Eternal Glory. His bridge crew worked frantically at their stations, coordinating attacks that barely scratched the enemy's hull. The Void Hunters advanced in perfect formation, their dark ships absorbing energy blasts and turning them into fuel for their own weapons. Council leader Zythara broadcast from the planet's surface, her voice reaching every world in Council space. This may be our final hour. We have fought with courage, but our enemy shows no mercy. If any species has hidden strength they have not yet revealed, now is the time to act. The galaxy depends on it. General Patricia Kane received the transmission in her command bunker deep beneath Earth. She turned to her communication officer and spoke 2 words that would change galactic history forever. Begin revelation. Across Council space, human ships that had spent months disguised as harmless transports suddenly dropped their fake hulls and activated systems that defied every law of physics the aliens thought they understood. The merchant vessel Harmony, carrying supposed refugees near Centauri Prime, shed its outer shell to reveal the USS Phoenix, a warship that gleamed with weapons technology beyond anything the Council had imagined. Captain Danny Walsh stood on his bridge, no longer pretending to be a simple transport pilot. His crew moved with military precision as they prepared for combat. "All stations report ready, sir," called out his tactical officer, Lieutenant Sarah Brooks. "Quantum weapons are charged and ready to fire." "Good," Danny replied. "Let's show these machines what humans can do." The USS Phoenix decloaked directly above the Void Hunter fleet, its sudden appearance causing confusion among both the enemy and the Council defenders. Admiral Zenthok stared at his sensors in disbelief. The human ship was massive, larger than any Council dreadnought, and its energy signature was off every scale his instruments could measure. The Phoenix fired its first shot, a beam of twisted space-time that tore through 3 Void Hunter ships at once. The enemy vessels, which had adapted to every Council weapon, simply ceased to exist as the quantum energy unraveled their molecular structure. For the first time since the invasion began, Void Hunter ships were destroyed without trace. But the Phoenix was not alone. Across the Centauri system, more human ships revealed themselves. The USS Vengeance emerged from behind an asteroid, its captain Gary Price grinning as his ship's exotic matter cannons carved through enemy formations. The USS Stormstrike appeared from nowhere, its cloaking technology so advanced that even its allies could not detect it until it opened fire. Admiral Beth Sullivan's voice cut through the chaos on the Council command frequency. Her calm tone was very different from the panicked chatter that had filled the channels for weeks. "Council forces, this is Admiral Sullivan of the Human Defense Fleet. We are taking command of this engagement. All ships follow our targeting coordinates and provide support fire." Admiral Zenthok could barely speak. "Admiral, but you're just a liaison officer. How do you have an entire fleet?" "That information was classified," Beth replied smoothly. "Focus on the battle. We'll explain everything later." The tide of battle turned within minutes. Human ships moved through space like predators, their weapons designed specifically to counter the Void Hunters' adaptive technology. Every shot was precise, every maneuver calculated to maximum effect. The mechanical invaders, which had seemed unstoppable, began falling back as their ships exploded in brilliant flashes of quantum fire. Dr. Helen Kim found herself suddenly in demand as human scientists took control of the research efforts. Her analysis of the Void Hunter's weaknesses, dismissed by alien researchers just days before, became the foundation for the new battle tactics. Council scientists who had laughed at her theories now begged for her help in understanding how the human weapons worked. The key is multidimensional targeting, Helen explained to a group of stunned alien physicists. The Void Hunters adapt by analyzing attacks in normal space, but our weapons exist in several dimensions at once. They cannot learn to counter something they cannot fully perceive. Commander Alex Turner led the first human ground assault on a Void Hunter production facility. His Marines wore power armor that made the legendary Krulon warriors look weak by comparison. Each human soldier could lift 10 tons and survive in the vacuum of space. Their weapons fired concentrated plasma that burned through the thickest enemy armor. The facility was a nightmare of mechanical efficiency, with automated systems building new ships at incredible speed. Alex's team moved through the complex like ghosts, placing charges that would destroy the entire operation. The Void Hunters tried to stop them, but their mechanical defenders were designed to fight conventional troops, not humans equipped with technology that bent the laws of physics. Charges are set, reported Sergeant Lisa Martinez over the comm system. This facility will be scrap metal in 5 minutes. Copy that, Alex replied. All teams fall back to extraction points. Let's get out of here before this place goes up. The Bai explosion could be seen from orbit, a flash of light that marked the destruction of the Void Hunter's largest ship construction facility. Similar operations were taking place across the galaxy as human special forces struck at enemy production centers and command nodes. Back at Centauri Prime, the space battle was reaching its climax. The Void Hunter fleet, which had seemed infinite just hours before, was being systematically destroyed by human forces that fought with precision and power beyond anything the Council had imagined possible. Captain Gary Price watched his tactical display as the last enemy command ship tried to escape. Not today, he muttered, then called out to his weapons officer. Target their engine core, full power. The USS Vengeance fired its main gun, a weapon that compressed matter into a microscopic point before releasing it in a directed explosion. The Void Hunter flagship simply vanished, taking with it the coordination systems that controlled the entire invasion fleet. Without their command ship, the remaining Void Hunters began fighting as individuals rather than a coordinated force. Human ships picked them off one by one, their superior technology and tactics making the outcome inevitable. Ambassador Jake Morrison finally allowed himself to smile as he watched the battle from his quarters aboard a council station. His years of diplomatic acting were over. The secret was out, and humanity no longer needed to pretend to be weak and harmless. Admiral Sullivan's voice filled the communication channels as the last Void Hunter ship exploded in a ball of quantum fire. Council forces, this is Admiral Sullivan. The immediate threat has been neutralized. Human forces will now begin systematic cleanup of remaining enemy assets throughout Council space. Expect this operation to take approximately 72 hours. Admiral, Zenthok could only stare at his screens in amazement. The invasion that had threatened to destroy galactic civilization was over, ended by a species the Council had considered barely worthy of membership. How? He whispered. How did you do this? We've been preparing for this day for a very long time, Beth replied. Perhaps it's time we had a proper conversation about humanity's role in this galaxy. The revelation was complete. Humanity had dropped its mask of weakness and shown its true face to the stars. The quiet observers had become the galaxy's saviors. But now came the hardest part of all, explaining to the Council why they had been deceived for so long and what would happen next. The war ended 3 days after humanity revealed itself. Human fleets swept through Council space like a cleansing fire, hunting down every last Void Hunter ship and facility. What had taken the mechanical invaders months to build was destroyed in hours by weapons that turned matter itself into a weapon. Captain Gary Price stood on the bridge of the USS Vengeance as his ship delivered the final blow to the last Void Hunter command center. The explosion lit up the entire system, marking the end of the greatest threat the galaxy had ever faced. His crew cheered, but Gary remained focused on the task ahead. Winning the war was easy compared to what came next. General Patricia Kane emerged from her underground bunker for the first time in years. She wore the full-dress uniform of Earth's military, with rank insignia that meant nothing to the aliens, but everything to the humans who had served under her command. Her shuttle lifted off from Colorado and headed for the orbital platform, where representatives from every council species waited with a mixture of fear and desperate hope. The council chambers had been rebuilt on a massive space station orbiting Centauri Prime. The planet below still showed scars from the battle, but reconstruction was already beginning. Council leader Zithara floated in her energy bubble, but her usual confidence was gone. Around her, representatives from 47 species sat in uncomfortable silence, waiting to learn their fate. Jake Morrison entered the chamber, but he was no longer the humble ambassador who had begged for membership just months before. His stride was confident, his expression serious but not hostile. Behind him walked General Kane, Admiral Sullivan, and Dr. Helen Kim. The human delegation took their seats at the center of the chamber, in the place of honor usually reserved for the most powerful species. "Honored Council," Jake began, his voice carrying clearly through the vast space. "We gather today to discuss the future of our galaxy. The immediate crisis has passed, but we must address the consequences of recent events." General Krathmal of the Dominion could barely contain his anger. His shark-like features twisted as he spoke. "You deceived us. For months you pretended to be weak while you possessed weapons that could have ended this war before it began. How many billions died because of your lies?" General Kane stood slowly, her presence commanding attention from every being in the chamber. General Krathmal raises an important point. Many lives were lost during the Void Hunter invasion. But perhaps we should discuss why humanity chose deception over honest membership in your council. She activated a holographic display that showed records from council meetings over the past decades. Alien voices filled the chamber, discussing plans to harvest human workers, use Earth's population as soldiers, and exploit humanity's resources. The evidence was clear and damning. "Your species viewed us as potential slaves from the moment we applied for membership," Patricia continued. "The Dominion had already drawn up plans to claim Earth's population within 10 years. The Federation wanted to use our genetic diversity for biological experiments. The hegemony saw us as useful cannon fodder for future wars." Council leader Zithara tried to maintain her dignity, but her voice shook as she spoke. "Those were merely theoretical discussions. No formal decisions were made." Admiral Sullivan laughed, a sound that held no humor. "Theoretical? We have recordings of military planning sessions where your generals calculated how many human lives they could sacrifice to achieve strategic objectives. You weren't planning to work with us. You were planning to use us up and throw us away." Dr. Helen Kim stepped forward, her scientific credentials giving weight to her words. "We spent 3 years studying council species before we applied for membership. We learned your languages, your cultures, and most importantly, your attitudes toward weaker civilizations. Every species in this chamber has either conquered or enslaved someone else. That is how you measure strength and worth." The alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Some tried to object, but the evidence was overwhelming. Humanity had done its homework thoroughly. Jake Morrison took control of the discussion, again. "So we chose a different path. We let you see what you expected to see. A weak, primitive species that posed no threat. While you made plans to exploit us, we made plans to survive and protect ourselves." Captain Danny Walsh entered the chamber, escorting a group of humans who had spent months living among alien populations. These were the maintenance workers, students, and researchers who had gathered intelligence while pretending to be grateful for any attention from their alien hosts. "These people risked their lives to learn your secrets," Jake continued. "They listened to your private conversations, copied your technology, and mapped your military capabilities. Every act of kindness you showed them was fake, motivated by pity or condescension. But they performed their missions perfectly." Dr. Lisa Park stepped up to present humanity's new terms for galactic cooperation. Her voice was calm, but firm, as she outlined the changes that would reshape Council society. Humanity will retain full military independence and territorial rights proportional to our demonstrated capabilities. We will establish colonies in 12 systems of our choosing. All previous agreements regarding human workers or soldiers are void. The Council delegates listened in stunned silence as the terms continued. Humanity would have equal representation in all major decisions. Human technology would be shared only with species that proved themselves trustworthy allies. Any attempt to threaten or exploit human populations would be met with immediate military response. General Krathmall slammed his fist on his desk. This is unacceptable. You cannot simply rewrite the galactic order because you have superior weapons. General Kane smiled, but her eyes remained cold. General, your fleets no longer exist. Most were destroyed fighting the Void Hunters. The few ships you have left are centuries behind our technology. You are in no position to negotiate. The truth of her words hung heavy in the chamber. The Council's military power had been shattered in the war. Human ships now patrolled the major trade routes and defended the core worlds. The balance of power had shifted completely, and there was nothing the aliens could do about it. Some species adapted quickly to the new reality. The Zephyrians, always practical, immediately requested scientific partnerships with human researchers. The hegemony, recognizing strength when they saw it, offered military cooperation against future threats. Others, particularly the Dominion and some Krulon factions, continued to resist accepting their changed circumstances. Ambassador Morrison concluded the session with words that would echo through galactic history. We did not seek to rule over you. We simply refused to be ruled by you. Humanity offers partnership to those who prove themselves worthy of trust. For those who cannot accept this new reality, we suggest you learn quickly. The galaxy is a dangerous place for those who stand alone. The new council that emerged from these negotiations was very different from the old one. Humanity held positions of authority proportional to their actual power rather than their pretended weakness. Human ships protected trade routes and colony worlds. Human scientists worked on projects that had once been reserved for the most advanced species. 6 months later, Admiral Beth Sullivan stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching joint training exercises between human and alien forces. Zephyrian pilots worked alongside human crews, learning tactics that had proven effective against impossible odds. Former enemies had become cautious allies, united by the knowledge that the galaxy contained threats worse than any single species could face alone. The Council had learned its most important lesson. Strength comes in many forms, and the quiet ones might be the most dangerous of all. Humanity's patient deception had not only saved their species, but transformed the entire galactic community. The age of exploitation was over, replaced by an era where respect was earned through actions rather than assumed through appearance. In the end, the Council's greatest mistake had become the galaxy's greatest salvation.